Okay, that's unusual.
Yeah,
Here we go.
not a big deal. Oh, that's the. You guys use that one since the election? We figured this out. Mine works. This is over there, there you go. Look at you.
Christine, if you- Can you change it to see what it looks like? Oh, that's really weird.
Yeah, it is. That's happened before.
So when that gets all weird like that.
Yeah.
The, that button, the white balance, that one right there.
This one?
Uh-huh.
Wow, nice. Okay. But it's still,
Yeah. When the, sometimes the election, when they move the cameras around, up there.
all right. I think this is good, don't you think? Yeah. Welcome back, Chris.
He's right in there.
Okay, we have 3 in attendance. Jillian, I think you
Okay.
can, I think we're going. We're on. Go. You're good.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the special meeting for the DDA, December 9th, 2024. We call this meeting to order at, I'm sorry, it was 12:08. Oh. The secretary, a motion to appoint someone as a temporary secretary.
I'll do it.
I move Brian does it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None.
Hey, Christie, are you recording?
Yeah, it says.
Okay.
Oh, we didn't say.
All good.
Ryan, call the roll, please.
Thanks, absent, Jennifer Tackner. When Smith's absent, Jillian,
Present.
Tim's absent, Gus,
Here.
Jeff,
Here.
Jay,
Here.
and I'm here, so we have quorum.
Great. Well, adoption of the agenda, we only have one item on the agenda, and this is to review or create the CI, capital improvement plan.
I'll have one other thing that
Okay.
was brought to my attention. There is a bill that's outstanding to Nature's Choice Outdoor Services for, I believe this is.
Equipment increase.
Yeah.
Yes, it has to be done in November. Remember, Jake?
Brian, where would you like that on the agenda?
That was approved on the meeting.
We could have it as the first thing.
It never done until November.
We could have the second item of new business after our CIP discussion. I'll make a note. Make sure we do vote on it.
Okay,
We could just have roll call for it. At that point. Yeah, that's kind of what it is, and we can have a roll call.
You, for notice, the garage that you're proposing, how much square feet are you like to see?
120 by 80 is what we're proposed, I think that's 9,600. But I'm recommending to the board some kind of feasibility study. And that's when we would know exactly kind of the square footage that we were wanting to have. Yes, sir.
But it seems to me the water and sewer rates should include maintenance of the water and sewer. And I'm wondering what kind of reserves you have, or were you undercharging for water and sewer? Or, why is there, why is it? Because these are high.
Can I say, because I have the same exact question? These are for both businesses and the DDA pay this as well as revenue. Should go into this normal operating
Correct.
in future funds.
Except that it's not an enterprise fund, it's basically, to me, the utility should be run as a business separate from the township.
I can clarify that utilities is an enterprise fund. There is separate fund in GL numbers for utilities. The money is separated from the Turtle Township.
But it's money coming in matching what needs to be spent in the rest.
Do you want to speak to?
Yeah, so
Or-
previously, before I got here, I can't even tell you the last time we did an actual rate study. Looked like a lot of the rates and ready to serve fees were adjusted in 2014, and then the water and sewer rates from 2014 to last year were only increased whenever Ann Arbor increased their cost to us. So we would just impose that same percentage on the resident. And then last year, we did a capital improvement plan with the board. They passed the capital improvement plan, and then based off of that, I sat down with Plant Moran as well as the board. And that's when we actually did a rate study. So we know exactly what we need to spend over the next 6 years, and also what to collect from residents and business owners to get the work done in the field. And so that's what that big increase was, unfortunately, was a rate study that was based on our needs in the township. That wasn't done in quite a long time. So we do, based on last year's capital improvement plan, we do have enough funds set aside at a 250,000 not to exceed marker, because I believe that's where we should be. That's what I recommended to the board. We still, based off of last year's capital improvement plan, we had $15 million in reserves in the sewer fund. And we were planning to spend it down to $7 million left in the fund. To help cut down on costs to the residents and business owners. But still get capital improvement plans done. So that each year now, we are going to do a rate study. We're gonna see exactly what the rate should be based off our needs. If something's increased or lower, that will be reflected in the rate study. So yeah, it is a separate fund. We are collecting based off of exactly what we need. And by not contracting out services is why I'm proposing our own utility garage. And this was just one example. If we had to have our own utility garage, buy our own backer truck, even with the backer truck costs included in the price, which is around 750,000. If we spread that over an 8-year period of TV and cleaning, we're gonna save $1 million, whether if we stay with contracting out, that's gonna cost $1 million. That's just one of the cost savings.
Do any of the utility staff now have experience running the equipment?
Correct, yes, Zach, did it for 6 years in Saline, and then Ray has done it for. It is an expensive piece of equipment, and they tend to need some money set aside in the maintenance fund for repairs. However, we do have people certified, and it is easy to train people in there, and so if personnel change between now and then. It is a relatively easy piece of equipment to do.
Because my next question is, if we're bringing it in-house and making the investment, right, because it's savings, how do we know that's going to stay in-house? Versus in 4 years, someone changes their mind, and we don't want to do this anymore, we're gonna outsource it. We just spent all this money.
And we're gonna sell our assets and roll it back to the general fund and outsource it.
Yeah.
What's your question?
So
We don't-
my feeling would be is once we get the piece of equipment, we're never gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it wouldn't make any sense to do that just because of the sheer cost savings. On my end, or whoever's here at that time, hopefully it's still me, we would do whatever it takes to make sure we hire the correct personnel, so that would be a requirement, probably for new hires, and then the current employees that we have, we would have to get them trained and certified, they'd have to get a CDLB, they would have to get an air brake endorsement, a tanker's endorsement, they would all have to be trained. And then anybody else going forward, that would be a minimum requirement that they would have to have is those licensings and prior experience operating a factory truck.
So the, basically, if I'm not mistaken, DDA built the sewer, the utility system inside of township. Right. they're- Right, with our bonding. And we assumed that the township would take care of that asset if we provided the capital asset. And now, coming back saying, well, gee, we want you to maintain it too. And I just, that's the way it's sitting on this side of the table, that's the way I get it. And,
We just spent $500,000 on Jackson Road that the DDA said that they built. We bonded for that, but then we spent $500,000. So because of, we built it, so we need to maintain it.
And we did, at one point, when we did one of the phases of the boulevard, we dug up the sewer and replaced it, because it had excessive infiltration. And that was the replacement of the capital improvement, but to me, this seems like an extension into that. That's all.
So what I would say to that is
Good.
that, what I'm asking for is perhaps a one-time or something that you guys, help out with over a 3-year period. I don't have any dollar amount in mind. It's all what you guys think is best. And it's not for the upkeep actually of the sewers, it's to help us move into a building so that we can keep the cost down. We're always are going to be able to increase the cost, unfortunately, to residents and business owners to maintain the system. Whatever the cost is bared on us from the contractors, so it's always gonna be able to be maintained. The key is to maintain it at a cheaper cost, and that's getting rid of contractors and doing it in-house. So in order to do that, I need a utility garage that can house all the equipment now and in the future.
I understand, I'm not against, I'm not against it, just looking at what our mission is as DDA.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If it fits the DDA or if it doesn't, right? I totally understand.
Right.
So is the garage for multi-purpose besides the housing, storing the equipment? Is also to be used for what else for your,
The way I'm proposing it right now to the board, and like I said, we're at the very initial phase, is we'd have 2 office personnel there. That would be my liking, would be the utility clerk and myself. We'd have all the field workers. We are also under the initial talks to have Parks and Rec move in there. So we can size it accordingly for them. So that we have a building that's gonna go over the next 40 years. Murphy is doing an excellent job preparing her CIP plan and planning for the next years in advance, and she's looking at the equipment that she's gonna need, and she does not see that it's gonna fit in this garage, even if utility moved out of there. It looks more like that this is gonna be a better spot for general tool township vehicles and other stores of that sort, but it's not what the township needs for the next 30 to 40 years, so we can adequately maintain what we have now and what's gonna be brought in here in the next.
right, in other words, my question was, you don't need to spend $3 million on a garage. Just because you're gonna buy a vac truck. Only,
No, so I mean,
because
yes,
you're gonna spend money, you got $3 million, another couple on the, another $1.5 million of the trucks, you got $4.5 million for, just to have a vac truck and a camera, I mean. Is that
No,
what it is,
so-
or it's for something else?
so initially, yes, sir, that is what I'm proposing. To be upfront, yes, I'm proposing that we have the utility garage. The first thing that I would like to take over is sewer cleaning and TV work. Down the road, and I don't know when that time period is, water main breaks and sewer breaks are extremely expensive.
Mhm.
The residents in the township are not gonna like the budgeted amount in order to take care of those when we start imposing them on in the rates.
How
See,
much?
And I'm not sure what kind of staff it takes to do that. I mean, I used to physically work on a crew that did sewer mains and water main breaks and so on. And it's not something you just say, you know, it's not like you pick up the 3 guys that are working doing water meter installations. And, you know, you take your digger out, and et cetera. I mean, it's.
Absolutely, I worked for City of Flint for,
Between the other equipment, between the pumps and the shoring, and all those things involved. I'm thinking that, you know, having a good relationship with a good contractor, you know, makes a lot more sense than expanding into that kind of thing, but. On the flip side, I can see that maybe, how many months a year can you run your Vector truck? Would it be a 12-month operation, or would it just be? 3
no,
months a year?
I would think that it's gonna be a 2 to 3 month thing that we would do. Then we'd always have it, for additional things that we need, like doing our own main breaks. If we would have had it, unfortunately we didn't, but doing our own potholing. We could also use it for any emergency responses that we're gonna need for sewer, backups. Right now, we have to wait 2 to 3 hours for a company to come in here to alleviate that sewer backup, which can cause additional damages to properties. So that's not abnormal, for smaller communities that have their own Vector truck. That's normally the usage. Now, if you're Dearborn, City of Flint, whoever else, you use it 24/7, not 24/7, but you use it 7 days a week for the most part, all year.
Do we currently have a contract with the city of Ann Arbor to like use their Vector truck or have their crews come and help?
No,
So there's no, I mean, that cooperative agreement, just like the fire department doesn't have a cooperative agreement. You know, at a certain point, buying the equipment, having the equipment sit for 9 months and using it for 3 doesn't, anyway, that doesn't flash in my brain. And then having to have a building to keep it in and having management supervision and the whole thing, you know, having run a business, all things with mushrooms. To me,
I understand.
I can see why you need a maintenance garage, but.
To try to do that collaboration all the time doesn't always work. In theory, it's great, but who am I paying to, we gotta share the maintenance cost of that, even though we may or may not be using it that much.
It takes a
I got-
7-man crew for a sewer break or a water main break. It takes a 7-man crew.
I mean, I would say that it takes, 5 or 6 people. I mean, I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of water main breaks in the city of Flint. We had around 200 every year. I know exactly what it takes to do a water main break, a sewer break.
Yeah.
I lived that, done that. Worked 600 overtime hours every year during my stint there.
Transite pipe, transite pipe.
Those cast iron.
How much was our bill to diversify the water main break over by the Carlisle?
I can't remember that one, but a good cost sharing with, to show you exactly what we're looking at is.
13,000.
We paid at E.T.
I think it was
McKenzie to do a
13,000.
water main break in the grass that we could have done easily for around $3,000. We paid them $9,700 for one break.
So roughly how many water main breaks have we had over the past 5 years and how many sewer,
Instances, yeah, so
Not
Again.
not created by contractors,
was that?
not created by excavators.
Exactly, not self-inflicted, right? Yeah.
all right, not self-inflicted. I could see maybe 1 or 2. Yes, our instances of water main breaks and sewer breaks, I'm not saying we have that many. That's why I'm not saying that we need to allocate the funds right away. But what I'm saying is for the future. Is what we need. I don't want to build another one of those. For just what I forecast for the next 5 years, like that one was built for. And then we're trying to figure out why we spent $1.6 million on that building. And then $2 million on a little bit bigger building, but I know for sure certain that the best way forward. From everything that I've experienced is the ability to do it in-house. I understand that there's a lot that comes with that surge. We would have to make sure we hire the right people going down the road.
I mean, I see a huge benefit of having a Vector truck, particularly for infiltration and collapses to keep things up and running from time to time. But as far as, you know, getting into just getting people into that business, that's in my opinion.
Yeah.
It might be a good long-term plan, but Scio Township is not a big city yet. So, but anyway,
Well, but we're growing.
I
There's a
get it.
development going in it, in the works for Parker and Jackson,
So we have choices to make, that's the thing.
absolutely,
As far as
but we're,
from-
we're gonna be growing either
Good input,
out or
good
up
presentation.
regarding our sewer.
Yeah, I mean, I have it planned that, I mean, the reason why I'm pushing so hard for it explicitly right now is. The growth that we have is tremendous, and the tap fees that we are bringing in compared to what our yearly expenditures are. There's a big difference, where right now. Even without the DDA's help, I'm assuming that we're gonna be completely fine to do this without any rate increases. However, the next year or two, there could be, design and engineering costs, smaller things that. I was just proposing to the DDA, not that you guys are 100% sold on it. It was just for your consideration.
No, we're supposed to look out there 5 or 6 years, so I mean, that's exactly.
That's all,
Yeah.
yeah, yep, you may be interested, may not, that's all I'm asking, is just for consideration.
If you didn't get, if we didn't provide additional funding, what would happen?
I think, again, this is all at the very initial phase, I don't wanna be
Okay.
too presumptuous of the board, or what direction the board could wanna go. But from what I'm seeing from our funds, our interest earnings on them. The proposed builds that are out there for the board to pass, we have one that is being proposed on Parker and Jackson. That's 200 units. That's around $4 million in tap fees. And I think maybe around $2 million Scio Township will actually see. We're not budgeting for that in any way because I can't guarantee it.
Right.
So that would be $2 million extra in the water fund
Mhm.
at that point in time, if they agreed to do it. That we'd be collecting over a couple of years for them to do the builds. All that is money that I see. Needs to go towards the big capital improvement projects that we have planned, like the sewer station stuff. But also, if we do it now, we can save on cost of building the utility garage that without doubt. At some point in time, here real soon, it's gonna have to happen.
Mhm.
If you go to any other city or township, you're gonna see what we have is really laughable when it comes to a utility space. So that's why I'm so proactive now. We have the development funds coming in. We can build it without crushing the residents and business owners with another rate increase that I don't feel is appropriate. I mean, certainly it's gonna go up for other things, but I don't want this cost to be imposed on the residents and business owners after they already had such a big increase. I truly believe we can get this done without affecting it.
Are you maintaining storm sewers too or no?
No, sir.
So. That might be something that DDA has to get into in the future.
How about here, right?
I sat on a committee at the city of Ann Arbor where they had no provision for billing anybody for storm sewers and maintenance and catch basins and gradings and long term. And there
So
was
in a nutshell, if I hear right, you don't really need it, but you're really looking ahead and you say, I'm gonna need it, so you wanna be proactive and try to accomplish all those
The
things.
roads.
Yes, sir.
In a nutshell, so
Yes, sir. Any assistance,
Thank you.
even though we may be completely set, that's.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know how often you've been to the DBA, but if you could give us reports. Maybe every couple of months to see,
Absolutely.
what's going on.
Yeah.
Cause there's,
Yep, a good thing that I have that I can do is we do have a bunch of GIS apps that we use for tracking maintenance now, something that we never had. Which does have our total sewer cleaning project on there. And a lot of other things that we're doing, but most certainly I'd be more than happy to share whatever information that you guys would want.
super.
There's nothing I can't.
That's right.
thank you.
Thank you very
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Interesting job because it's something we all take for granted and then.
Yeah.
Until it don't happen.
Yeah.
Or it's back up in the day.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate you taking the time.
Hi, Chief. Good, how are you?
Don't have too much to address the board about. I met with you guys last month and we'll talk about some of the needs of fire department. As it relates to protecting DDA businesses, I just wanted to remind you, as you consider your capital improvement plans, of that needs specifically about $500,000 for the water department. We've secured the remainder of the funding, about $1.7 million project. Necessary for protecting the entire community as well as the business interests or business owners within the community. Just wanted to stop in and say hi and.
Do you have secured funding for the
We secured, it's about a $1.75 million project. We've secured all but about half.
About one.
Yeah, about 1.25 roughly.
And we talked about that last meeting.
Yep.
In a very positive way, I think.
And any consideration you guys could give the help with that. There's huge benefits going right back to the businesses.
Well, that, the order time.
And then also understand that these things are, right now we're on a 600 day order cycle. If we have funding secured, it's almost 2 years before it gets dropped into the back. Thank you. Any other questions? Great, thank you much.
Thank you. Anyone else in person? No?
No,
Okay, let's go to, see. Anyone online interested in speaking during public comments, please raise your hands.
it was all.
No, I guess not. Okay. We'll close public comments here and move on to, since this is a special meeting, we'll just, we don't have the minutes, so the next
Yeah.
meeting, you have minutes from the last meeting. I assume, okay. And Linda, Ryan will be taking
I
the
did.
minutes for tonight or today.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yep, no worries.
Thank you. I guess on to new business. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss and create the DDA capital improvement plan. So we can submit this to the board on December 17th. And apologize for dropping this on you. This is, we were supposed to have I don't know if you worked on a capital improvement plan last year.
You did not.
No, okay, so this would be, and we're supposed to every year, but last year was the first year that I can remember that we had worked on one. And I apologize if we have in the past and I just don't remember. But we need to submit one to the board. This is the kind of the kickoff for the budget, which we're getting into budget season, and as you know, March 31st is when we have to have that completed. So it's the capital improvement plan is urgent. Our finance director through Plant Moran, Ally Norris is requesting that this is submitted tomorrow. I wasn't here before, so I don't know if this was talked about. No, okay.
Unfortunately not. I guess one thing I might offer up to everybody, you know, after hearing a couple, we've heard from Brandon at a previous meeting, and I know we've also heard from Chief Lynn at previous meetings. That's some of the needs. I guess do folks want, I don't know if anyone has a opinion or a suggestion about which one they would rather talk about first, whether it be utilities, fire, probably the two largest ones, but parks also
Well,
would
and
be another one.
after the last meeting, I did put together a matrix.
Yes, yes, and I unfortunately didn't give it to you. I gave it to Jan, but that
Do we just run through it real quick?
yeah, go for it.
So I made a matrix after last fall and I've got Jen's priorities in here. It's divided into kind of DDA categories of what we, through our founding documentation and strategies of safety, beauty, growth, and then public impact. And so the first one on here, I don't know, particular order, was pedestrian bridge, right? As something we want to investigate and pursue, and put that as safety. My own priority, benefit, and effort is high. Expensive, time consuming, but it also has a huge safety impact on
Pedestrian
People.
bridge, where?
over 94.
Next time.
The other ones are kind of maintenance related, so grass and sidewalk maintenance, snow removal, and landscaping. So my big question on all of these is that, especially from the maintenance standpoint, is or almost like operational budgets, is like, what's the protocol in Scio? And where does funding come? Where should it come? It's not defined. Hopefully it's somewhere in a decision-making process of who pays for what and how it works. Right, so if we come from the DDA, let's define it and put that in place or come from somewhere else. And then the last one in my high priorities was the cleanup light. Right, so obviously your Pete's Hut's finally gone. There's a couple other barns and other things that should probably be. maybe.
I can name a couple.
Yeah, so then into the next one, safety, I do a fire truck on that, was immediately next, at 250, based on the last meeting. On here was the investigate Jackson extension. Maybe that's more of an initial investigation. Is there really good growth gonna happen? Right, as you move down there, is there space? I don't drive that way often, you know, past, young people see it right now and go home and something like that. Let's see, updating sidewalks. And then the sports field was also in there, or parks, investing in that. And then I have parks passes, community spaces, dog park, community center, et cetera. It's more of a lower priority, not an immediate thing that maybe we just discuss that next year, right? If it's a yay or a nay, right? So not pursuing funding for those things. So,
Jen, do you have this on a spreadsheet?
I do.
Did you email it? Does everybody have it?
No.
The only person that should have was
This is our list, because
Yeah, no, it's mine.
I'd like to say that the DDA, the point of the DDA is to halt property tax value deterioration, to increase property tax valuation, which means by development typically, eliminate the causes of deterioration, promote economic growth, and create and provide for the operation of the DDA. That is the process of the DDA.
Where's that from, Jack?
Where is that from?
Yeah.
From the Michigan Economic Development Corporation.
That's a great list.
Okay, could you repeat that, please?
To halt property valuation deterioration. Increase property tax valuation. Eliminate the causes of deterioration. Promote economic growth. And to create and provide for the operation of the DDA. And this is under what is the process? The governing body finds that it's necessary for the best interest of the public to do the following related to the defined business district. And we have a defined business district, we typically call it the DDA district.
Who's your last one? Sorry.
The last one was to create and provide for the operation of the DDA. For instance, we've talked about hiring a manager for DDA, someone that does the heavy lifting, puts things together for us, brings proposals to us, does some research. Yeah, and executes.
Like a project manager
Executive director.
slash.
You know, you have a township manager, I mean, we're allowed to hire a DDA manager, which I've been in favor of for a while. But on a part-time basis, if we can afford somebody, we can find the appropriate person, because it may be. I've always been interested in partnering, having DDA partner with other things, as opposed to just dropping funds into certain projects, but. They both would.
Anybody else have a list?
So just to remind you that DDA expires before your planning.
I would say that's
expires.
the other.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things that we may want that we need to see budget for is for someone to help us extend the DDA, because if we don't, it's just lost money for the township.
Right, but the DDA cannot extend itself. The board has to be the board of trustees would.
Yes,
So
but,
that,
yeah.
so we would have to create, and maybe you have, again, I apologize if I'm ignorant on things, but, so if we have a plan to show why we need to continue with the DDA and show what we are doing, then presenting that to the board would go a long way. I think, and plus we have a new board, so some of us are catching up on things. I've been on board for 2 years, but there's others that are new. Yeah, so,
Correct, because this go farther than the life of the DDA. So you need to extend the life of the DDA.
I'm in favor of it, but I also know that we have to show why we need to extend it. Because we created the DDA because of the water and sewer, because of, the Gelman plume, is that
Pretty much.
or was it, and then Jackson Road Boulevard came after?
Also, yeah, also the DDA captures $2.5 million, the township is gonna lose $2.5 million, so it's sort of like a no-brainer. Does it need to be extended? Yeah, they're gonna give you 2.5, give the township $2.5 million, otherwise they're not gonna get a nickel. So therefore, in a nutshell, if you, it was up to me,
yeah.
I'll extend it forever to
What
get
are we
money.
using?
There's a faction township that would like to just say,
Well, wait, but
Wow.
of course, we can
Could be.
capture all the money we want, but what are we doing with the money?
But no matter what we do, no matter what we do with the money, if we spend it on the township, it's better than nothing.
Oh, I agree, but the
That's
point is,
what do we do with $2.5 million?
well, Gus, the point is that we need to show this to the board.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
okay.
And we do have plan, and we do have plans with, what Jenny says, to perhaps, help with the park, and help with the fire engine, and help with the garage. We're all in favor. We're not here saying no.
Okay,
We're not
good.
Here,
'cause
anybody
then-
say no,
No.
we're in favor, and these folks have a prior history more than me, like JP, the DDA that we have done, that the DDA has done their share of work. And they're not really spending money foolishly, and we're not spending
think
all,
we-
so therefore,
I think one of the things that they have a problem with, because we're very conservative, we keep cash reserves, looking for our next big project as opposed to emptying our coffer all the time. And so, I hear this, well, what, people come in, we want money. We say, we're setting aside because.
correct, I don't.
Just hire the engineers for a bigger project could.
Be $1 million, yeah.
For a project is up to me, and I don't wanna spend the money just because the money is there. I wanna make sure that I get my money's worth, just like if it was mine,
But that's what it costs,
you know, and
Okay.
that's
Well,
my,
We don't know if that's what the trustees want to do, because they don't know, because we don't know what the DDA.
I think the way I can look at this is I go back to the list that Jennifer created, and apologies for not sharing that, I thought I had, that's my error. I think we look at this and we say, we like the proposals that, at least at some level, that we've heard. We obviously have to create a budget, this is the first step in that budget process. If we're comfortable, we can say, working with proposal A, B, or C, or some combination thereof, and we say, okay, let's talk about how much dollars that we would tentatively be willing to commit towards that.
Well,
One way to do it, but I'm open on that.
yeah,
Maybe we should just decide that there's a certain amount of our reserves that we should just put into project and find projects, period, and keep a certain amount for searching for a bigger project and having, let's say, seed money. Or.
That'd be a good, that'd be a good way to do it, where if it's a project that the DDA could participate in, and the DDA said, we're willing to take X% of our reserves in a given budget year for the next 2 or 3
Yeah, we
years.
just put it in our RFP, if
Yeah.
DDA has some money, we'll spend it in the DDA district, and how about if you come and pitch it, and we'll decide, we have $2 million to give away this year, and to contribute this year.
so I heard a couple of, what Jen had said. A big project, well, there was 2 big projects that I heard. Investigate Jackson Boulevard or extension, the boulevard. Down to Parker, right? And then the other was the pedestrian bridge. I'm assuming those 2 are big ticket items. And longer term goals, right? Because we can't do them overnight.
When you were on the committee, Jay, you were on the committee for it. When you were on the committee, the last time this committee met was near,
From the pedestrian bridge,
2015, 2017?
it's been a while, but, being on planning commission, DDA, that was the discussion,
And back then they wanted what, 5 or $6 million?
Depends on where it goes, and just to give you a little bit brief idea of why it's so expensive, is that you have to go over
Oh,
all of the lanes. So you have entrance ramp, grassy area, highway, grassy area,
Yeah.
exit ramps. And at that time, the discussion was that and this isn't necessarily the best way to do it, but they could shorten it substantially by taking a pathway and taking it in through the road commission property and crossing over, for instance, down Stabler Road. But Stabler Road, you know, the thing is then you start worrying about safety and isolation and things like that. But you know, it was just a suggestion where it could come out anywhere in between, wherever you could get an easement to run it back out to Jacksonville. But the idea was that it only had to go across the highway lanes. So it was half as long as going across all those entrance and exit ramps. That was the, I guess, the way it was presented to us.
What would be the anticipated cost today?
I have no idea.
Just to be clear, we discovered that you cannot extend the width of the existing bridge to put pedestrian path on it.
Yeah, here.
Spoke to, yes.
That what we already have.
Yes.
Well,
So it has to be an independent freestanding addition.
at this point, because if I remember correctly from the MDOT, they said that they would be open to changes, but that bridge has to be bad enough for them to replace it, which is a newer bridge. If I
And
remember
last time
right.
we did
have
that
to be
study, it was $25 million, and that was 10 years
The
ago.
just
bridge
a low
cannot be
priority.
amended to.
Yeah.
Pedestrian.
Right, because they talked about the Wagner Bridge and then also the Baker Road Bridge. Okay, so,
So then you get bridges either like connecting West Delhi with pedestrian bridge or something like that. And there's other places to put bridges other than right at Z Road. If that makes it substantially shorter. But then, but then you have the pathways that have to go down to West Delhi. We here kind of got pathways.
And it doesn't address the McDonald's workers or the hotel workers, the
Right.
people who come across.
Yeah.
For business. And they're gonna dodge cars, they just are, they're not gonna go down to Stabler or anywhere else. So, there's that.
It has to be centrally located where people can use it.
Absolutely.
Has to be centrally located and.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
So I would say that, in terms of looking at priorities, we've got this maintenance bucket and we've got another bucket to do something special. And there's some reasons to do the maintenance type items and we're uniquely positioned to do something special. And nobody else is gonna step up and do the pedestrian bridge. And it can be special, yeah.
I mean, the discussion kind of circulated around the idea that if you show interest at the time, it had to do with this partnering concept. MDOT's not gonna come and say, hey, we're gonna replace your bridge, but if you come in and say, hey, we've got, we're willing to pledge $6 million towards this, provided we get this. They go, oh.
Yeah.
You know,
So I
they're
just,
gonna have to do that bridge eventually anyways.
Yes.
They say, oh, here's the money, well, the money's going away.
right, so I just in a big sense, I need to have a better understanding of what the DDA is permitted to do in terms of maintenance. There's been a lot of discussion that the DDA is not a maintenance funding.
Not much the way I understand it, but the way I understood it, the last time if I can answer that, it was, we can do that. If we choose to, but up to this point, the way I understood it, it was no maintenance, it was capital improvement and investments only.
It's sort of come back to the ongoing
in the
maintenance.
statute that we can do improvements and, maintaining is, improving. Because if you don't maintain, it's gonna deteriorate.
But we've always looked at it as kind of like the day-to-day maintenance, like
Yes.
mowing, snow removal. Things, things that we always look at more like, oh gee, the curb is destroyed or we need to widen the lane. There's certain maintenance things or the pavement is deteriorated, we need to, redo the pavement or whatever. That, to me, that's a capital improvement versus, brushing your teeth, or basically,
Right.
mowing the grass.
I totally agree with that. We could spend all of our budget every year on maintenance items because it would relieve pressure from the Scio Township General Fund or whatever it's called. And I think that's a mistake. I think that we've got the ability to do something special, and something special is not just street cleaning. Was that?
It's bonding something.
It's bonding. It's doing that parkway out there is special. I mean, it's incentivized or it's incented so many things in this township.
Something that will create the funds, that will create business, that will create more money to come in,
100%.
something that will do that, and that,
It's the virtuous cycle that Jay really articulated from the
exactly,
list that
so
you.
DDAs.
And if we're here just to spend money to, make sure that expansion joints are properly done and that snow removal is done, those are great. But really, it seems to me like the DDA is. We could just be a piggy bank, or we could do something special.
Or, as Ryan had said, or Jay, sorry, somebody said, some goes to maintenance and then the rest goes to projects, or a majority of it goes to projects, a big project, because it sounds like you're gonna have to save up for a couple of these big projects.
They're gonna be really big. In Ann Arbor, for example, they did parking structures. The city didn't have the money to do the parking structures. The DDA was able to undertake that system and make it work.
Which
So,
brought in more
absolutely.
to support the
And
business.
Yes.
our
It
customers.
supports the downtown,
Yeah.
the Ann Arbor. group.
And so that's with the DDA. To make, to have it attractive where people want to come and shop. I mean, they don't even have to live here, but to bring them to shop or to, recreation or whatever it is. Of course, we have our preserves, but those are not within the DDA, right? I don't think we have any.
I like your idea about something special. I also like some of these. There's still significant projects from a dollar to that $300 or $500 where we get something, for a low price. But I think there's some interesting things we could do where we could have some. I don't know, is a fire truck inherently special compared to like a pedestrian bridge? No, but does it does have benefit. There is inherent benefit to it. We don't have to fund all of it. I do think in some cases when we're looking at some of the utilities department's a little different because we don't capture anything from the utilities customers and our department. The parks department, we do capture from their millage. The fire department, we also are going to start capturing. That's something if people didn't know, we're gonna start capturing from their millage. I think it's fair to an extent. We've done it. I know Bob's brought it up before multiple times that we've done it pathways where we've earmarked or assigned the dollars that we roughly captured to go towards the pathways project. We haven't done one per se in a couple of years, but Jack.
So I'm looking at the DDA capital projects that the city of Ann Arbor
Okay.
promotes, and they do signals, landscaping, and this is all available,
Yeah.
online, so, sidewalks,
This is maintenance or invest?
this is capital, DDA capital projects.
Okay.
And whether they do it legally or illegally, these are the projects they do. They do roads. Oh, man. Landscaping, irrigation, and trees. They do mobility counters. Measure pedestrians, bikes, and vehicle activity.
Like sensors.
Sensors. They do bike infrastructure. Which was the bike paths, which
No,
the
God.
beloved,
Yeah, well, we'll back out there.
they'll just chase a few more people out of town. They do lighting and plazas and street furniture. But they do not do parks. Into this.
I think that it's interesting the things that you mentioned there. So they'll never put parking structures down there now because cars have become evil.
Yeah,
So they just won't do parking structures now, but they did in the past. But everything else you're talking about there, it's one interpretation of improving the human experience in downtown. And, but they don't deviate very much from that. You may disagree with what their interpretation of improvement is, the bike lanes, for example. But they're dedicated to it and they put their money after it and they do it. Same thing with landscaping and streetscape and all those things, and it makes a difference in downtown. And we're talking about, we can do some special things here too.
Sure.
Our Scio Township version of what we determine are the priorities.
so their ongoing maintenance, they talk about sidewalk repairs. Parking and curb management, you know, again, counters and lighting and, you know, they just, landscaping, they pay for the first 3 years of maintenance following the installation of new landscaping. In other words, they don't maintain landscaping. That's the way I read that. Seasonal lighting,
Put up the holiday lights.
bike parking, I think that's interesting. They show the bike parking loops and, irrigation.
So irrigation ties into those planters that they have.
So the irrigation is even after 3 years? Is it just ongoing irrigation?
Specifically.
Doesn't say-
I don't know of any irrigation
Something-
that they do down there.
No, I don't either, but it's something that we brought up when on the boulevard and we looked at the cost and went,
And people also sponsor, I think, those.
The planters are sponsored and the Main
You
Street,
have the plaques.
right.
Yeah.
The Main Street Biz pays for
Yeah.
plantings. I mean, there's other ways that they do things, but
No, good info.
it's absolutely good info. And
I
it's,
suggested at one point that we irrigate the median of the boulevard,
I
but then
think
we pump out of the Honey Creek. You know, instead of both.
it's a, yeah,
And, but you know, this,
Something that needs to keep those things alive.
I'm just pretty much.
if you took that list, Jay, and you said, let's not, the DDA is not gonna do any of those things, they wouldn't get done. Right? I mean, for the most part, they just wouldn't get done.
Yep.
So, but if
No.
we use that kind of, I don't
Everything
know,
here is in the
40,000
business,
foot
everything
bubble.
here is in the business district.
it's in the business
Or
district,
businesses.
and it's discretionary in a certain sense, right? You don't have to put up new streetlights, you don't have to put re-brick Carytown.
Nobody else would do
Nobody else would do it.
No.
So if we look at the opportunities that we have here, it's to do things that otherwise wouldn't get done.
Dexter, what other, I'm assuming Pittsfield has a DDA. Or.
I don't know, Dexter does.
The city of Dexter.
Chelsea does for sure, they're very.
I don't think this was us.
Should we look up another Chelsea or?
Chelsea,
or
Chelsea
Dexter?
does.
Dipsy City, Ann Arbor City, Northfield Township for some reason.
Okay, but just to give us another idea what they have on their list, because it sounds like, well, maybe it's, of course,
That's a good idea.
every municipality is gonna be a little bit different with their goals.
priorities should be
and-
different.
Yeah,
I mean, Chelsea's DDA was mostly, at least it used to be mostly about parking. I mean, they tore down, the funeral home to put in parking.
In one spot in time, that's what Ann Arbor was. They
Yeah,
took over a
right.
failing parking system in Ann Arbor, rehabilitated it, built new structures. That was primarily what they did 20 years ago.
now they're tearing down everything to put up housing.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, I'm not, and I know we have limited time here. I think that we do have. Want to be team players with the township and figure out some of these items that need. Legitimately need some help, and if we're in the position to be able to help, then let's do it. But let's not get sidetracked into just funding everything that needs to happen at the expense of being special.
Right. So for the capital improvement plan. And we have covered some of this as well, you know, with Jen, your list. Grass, sidewalk, snow, which that would. Like the Ann Arbor DDA, sidewalks, roads, landscaping, it's kind of matching.
Grass,
but-
sidewalk, snow is gonna fly here. From a maintenance standpoint, I mean, but we just redid landscaping, we spent about $180,000 on landscaping on the boulevard. That's surprising last year,
Last year.
but
What do you say is not gonna apply? Maintenance of the ongoing mowing, watering,
that's, I mean,
and then snow removal?
Well,
and if that's what
Yeah.
they want us to do. I mean,
but
that's
if
what I keep
we,
hearing.
if the DDA puts in landscaping and then the building maintenance department is supposed to take care of it.
Correct.
Okay, but is there any communication with them, like, hey, we're gonna put in all this landscaping, make sure that you have the manpower to.
The project we just did was fully driven to reduce the cost of the maintenance. I mean, that was our
Right.
goal, was to reduce the cost of maintenance.
And to,
Yeah,
to
But
keep
I
it,
think this is where we need to come to some sort of Scio Township agreement, right, and defined protocol. So
Mm.
we know whether we like it or not, right? Something we implement might require our funds to pay for, right?
Mhm.
Or we could probably negotiate.
so from a capital improvement plan, what do we want to, tell the trustees that we're going to do? That's our goal. right?
So I heard two, well, there's the maintenance part, the project part, there's also. Well, and then the four categories, safety, beauty, growth, and then there was one more.
Public,
What was that?
as a public,
Oh, public.
which then brings to, the goal of that one is it brings people here to experience and use and hopefully go eat.
And spend money, right, yes.
So,
Not a lot of shopping here.
so, you asked about other communities in Chelsea, underway, they have a Longworth redevelopment, whatever that is, but they have the Palmer lot redevelopment, which is their farmer's market, pretty much. They have the Palmer lot, the parking lot, the Palmer lot, the park, and the lot site plan on here. REU assistance program to encourage new businesses and business expansion, which is something we've talked about. That because of the cost of the REUs here, I think some of our developers just go, they sound kind of crazy when you're coming here compared to some of the communities. Under construction is North and South District Gateway enhancements, which would be, I would assume, the beautification of the areas at the gateways, yeah. Recently completed or ongoing improvements in the Jackson Street corridor, Main Street crosswalk improvements, Park Street parking lot and ramp, providing tree lights and holiday decorations in the district, supporting Chelsea First marketing effort, supporting sights and sounds, sights and sounds, and maintaining the DDA district, which is basically sidewalks, pavers, been down there, sidewalks, pavers, planters, etc.
So they specifically say maintaining the DDA? District.
Yes. But they are specifically, my understanding is that Chelsea specifically is talking about their commercial district, so they're pretty much talking between talking about from south to the railroad tracks, or south up to, up to the clock tower. And that's their, and they got one block on each side of that. And my uncle used to be president of the there, and so, they were very specific as far as supporting their commercial district. Yeah. And we're different because we have the boulevard.
Right. Though there's an argument to be made, that this area right here could be a town center. With streetscape improvements and pedestrian improvements and lighting and things like that.
Julian, are you aware of what the projects we did last year? You know where we spent money last year?
Well, 500,000 in Jackson Boulevard, I know that one.
What's the deal?
Well, and the landscaping, of course, I know about that.
Yeah.
And the signs, well.
Sign.
Sign and the bus
We
shelters.
paved many Drive. We
Oh,
paved
yes.
Dino Drive.
Drive,
The year
maybe,
before- the year before we did Enterprise Drive.
Signs.
Yeah, we
Yeah, that one's-
had signs removed.
Pedestrian up in your neck of the woods? Was it there, was that a couple years ago?
We took down signs.
We took down a bunch of signs, and yeah, but they did the gateway signs pretty much. We did, in the last couple of years, we did, Jackson Enterprise Drive. We did April Drive
Was
one
under
year
a
again.
special assessment though, some of them?
I don't think Eddie ever got that.
Oh, not Enterprise, no, because Enterprise is paid for by the grant. The WCRC.
Hardly.
Not all of it.
Not all,
Not all of it?
no,
Okay.
we kicked in 250 or something, didn't we?
Yeah, there was a matching, that's
Yeah,
right.
see, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying, we were trying to go for
matching.
those partnerships, and eventually. People on the streets just said no. They said, oh, hell no. To contributing to the improvement of their street, and,
Yeah,
And we talked about defining to your point, the partnerships.
Partnerships.
Right, where can we match? We're happy to
Mhm.
support them as they invest as well. So like hopefully we're on a momentum to get some of that stuff defined. So it makes it
Mhm.
easier for us to say yes. It also makes it easier for people to know where we will support.
I like this REU assistance program to encourage new businesses and business expansion.
Well, yes, which is good, but right now, you know, we're getting close to, well, not close, but we have, only so many REUs left. I think, that one. It's sewer.
Residential equipment units, yeah.
Yeah, for the sewer part of it, because we can have water anywhere, but sewer, but, I can't remember. How many, Brian, you remember?
1,000,
1,200,
yeah, like 1,000.
yeah. And
You're right.
that's a whole other conversation.
That's a number I've heard.
So what should we do to plan for the board? I think there's some investment, special things we'd like to pursue. We don't know how much they cost
Well-
though, and it's not like we're gonna pay for the pedestrian bridge next year.
I still-
The only, yes, the only thing is a capital improvement plan is just a plan. So it could be on there this year and we'll, you know, next year we say, oh, you know what, we really don't want to do that, or. Yeah, this is something that we want to do. We don't know when we're gonna do it, but we put it down on the plan and then for 5 years. Because that's, and then every year we just, you know, keep extending it, but. So let's say it is the pedestrian bridge. Is that something that? It's been talked about? I mean, it may be
'Cause
years
us
and
putting-
rows,
us
but
putting it on here doesn't tie us,
Right.
or obligate us to putting money to.
So let me ask a more fundamental question,
Okay.
just practical.
Yeah,
We're supposed to give something to the township on the 17th. What
well,
do we need to get done today so that we can?
the
get
capital
more-
improvement plan.
Because we're talking about like really big priorities
Millions.
that
That's
require
why
a
we
whole
hold back.
lot of discussion, so. And I think we ought to do that, because those conversations filter where we spend our money, right? The budget is the embodiment of our values. But we gotta get something to them on the 17th. What does that look like?
They
Does it
want us to
say
plan
we're gonna?
6 years, they want us to give them a 6-year idea of what we're.
We can't do that.
Well, 5 years, that's what a capital improvement
In
plan.
a week from today or whatever it is, we can't do that.
Well, right, see, that's the thing, and this should have been done every single year. And
So,
unfortunately,
Jeff,
it's
if you
just,
go back,
Yeah.
to a point, I certainly agree with you. The idea of, and reasonably, I wish we would have started this process, I think we all wish we would have started the process sooner. But this is a starting, we could put nothing on here, or we could put something on here. We can choose what we want to put on here, we could put something on here and say, we think it's going to cost this, but we're not going to give any money till we more thoroughly discuss and come up with an idea. It's meant to be a starting point.
For me, the long-term project, I think we're gonna be looking at is something to do with our sewage. And whether, and I've been brought up before, whether we use our state road site for short-term storage, possibly even some kind of settlement tanks and trucking or whatever out of there, or just short-term storage, because if we have to, in talking to the engineers or consultants, we pump our sewer from Zeeb and Jackson Road Station, we pump it all the way to the sewage treatment plant in Ann Arbor. Or maybe we pump it somewhere where it goes by gravity, but it gets pumped. And our main capacity is limited. And that limitation, we could negotiate till hell freezes over for treatment, but if we can't get it there, that's a problem, and that's something we would have to pay for in the city of Ann Arbor. Also, if we ever want to expand, we have to pay for their expansion. So whether you want to put that on your utilities department, which means they need to start saving money, you know.
and that's in their capital improvement plan.
You said they had 12 million
But
in reserves.
we're talking
Yeah.
millions and millions and millions.
So
That's a
But the thing is, that transportation is something that I think might be shorter term than we think, when we only have 1,200 REUs. When we just, you know, how many we just burned? We just burned like, what, 700 or 800 in the last 2 years.
I think again, that to me, I listen to that and I say, well, that makes sense. But I'm not ready to say, let's do that instead of the bridge. Like, how do you allocate?
Okay,
What's the
So-
long-term for a long-term, what I call an emergency project.
Right, so I mean, I think
Affects
it's
our development.
perfectly valid. I think there are a lot of things that are perfectly valid. I hadn't thought of that. I think it's a great one.
But short-term, for short-term, I think we should do something with the fire truck.
So I feel like we should do a couple of things short term. And then start studying the long-term things, and maybe that's allocating some soft costs to studying the sewer. Maybe it's allocating some soft costs to really doing some better feasibilities with the bridge. And maybe that's year one, and then year two is picking a lane or two lanes, and year three is starting to, whatever it is, but I'm just thinking about the time we have today, and the fact that we gotta submit this thing a week from tomorrow.
It's actually.
And there are some
tomorrow.
really
Actually, it's
legitimate.
tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
so,
Right.
I
So-
mean,
Here,
I don't want, I think it's a great idea. I think there's a lot of,
Jay,
yeah,
But we need to, as far as committing to something, I think in discussions with people, we've talked about the fire truck thing, they're 2 years out. If they order today, and if they don't get commitments from people, they can't order pretty much. Sorry.
No, not at all. So going back to this document, so what the township, the DDA is
That's
run
the
sort of in parallel, but separate from the township because we have our own fund. We're not asking for money from the general fund. What I believe the township is actually looking for with this document is a capital improvement plan. We can only give years to the point where the DDA expires. We
Yes.
cannot give you 5 years at this time because we can't speak to years that don't exist. So
We don't wanna
if we
make an
don't give a
assumption
project
either.
description, can we agree to a project value, which we would be willing to assign and allow the township to put into their capital improvement plan for the 2024, 5, 6,
Yeah.
2026, 27, and then I believe we expire in 2028, so we can't do 2028, 29. We can only give you 2 years. Are we willing, because we know that we have approximately $250,000 in fire department millage, once that is collected, that will be DDA
okay.
allocated
It's a good beginning.
to say that we've had a discussion about giving that back to the fire department as a down payment for this truck, which has the 600-day order period on it for 2025, 26. Would we be willing to add any additional funds to the 2025, 26 for an other project, which we could commit into this capital improvement plan, so that Jillian has something to take back to the board that shows that we have participated?
I think you should commit to the fire truck.
Fire truck, fire truck.
So that.
Just the 250 or
The
additional
250
funds?
that we're getting from the millage.
Do you know what the capture is? Just
And
for the
what
fire-
we can do is we can write it in as $250,000
Up to.
up to for the next 2 years. And that way, by the time the fire truck arrives, because the chief has said that he can put, a 10 or 20% deposit down.
Mhm.
And then this cash will be transferred as it becomes available. Or if we need to, we can have a bulk motion move it sooner, in the cash.
can we add to it and make it like 350 or 400,
Well, we're already doing 500.
500?
We're doing the
Well,
250
250 each
We're
year.
doing
Is
250
that
per
what-
year.
okay.
We should do 250 per year,
For 2 years.
for 2 years.
And one of them is based
I
on the
wasn't sure
millage
if
that
they
we're
were
getting from
splitting
the
that.
fire millage.
Right.
So that's.
what is our collection? Is that just basically passing through our collection?
That's actually probably a little low. I believe the number I received as the estimation for the collection, which won't be finalized till the new rolls are finalized next summer. From assessing was like $340,000
A year,
a year.
From
Okay.
the fire millage
For how many years?
specifically.
got it.
Yeah,
And,
just.
results have been passed to 12. Well,
I see a lot more than I see our long-term plan, a lot of that going back.
Maybe.
And that's
well,
what the voters intended it for.
that's what the vote,
Well,
that
yes and
actually
no,
did
I mean,
come.
yes, they
The voters
did, they certainly passed that millage, but it's also subject to the DDA. Right,
It's
I mean, the
certainly- yeah,
DDA is supposed to collect something out of that.
Well, the
It's
other
not-
thing we talked about was possibly, and it was really well received by the fire department, was supporting their fire marshal. You know, and
Oh,
maybe we
yes.
talked about
The inspection.
paying the fire alarm inspections, just subsidizing the businesses. Subsidizing the business, the fire marshal inspections, because some of the stores, I mean, they get charged $3,000-4,000.
So supporting them,
By the square foot.
It's by the square foot, I process receipts.
supporting the
Our
businesses,
businesses.
I'm in favor of.
And talking, and talking to Brandon, you know, he said that supporting his position at that point was, you know, $125,000 a year, which means it's $250 a year by the time you.
But having a matching fund or something like that that's available to the businesses to offset the cost of that. That is different than giving it to the fire department and saying, go ahead and, you know,
Go do your.
Well, it should
Yeah.
be specific.
it
yeah,
should be for the
definitely.
businesses and your businesses is the DDA, like I'm getting hit with this inspection. Oh, here's a DDA reimbursement.
So we're looking at matching funds to businesses for their fire inspectors.
In what amount per year for the next 2 budgets?
Do we have to give them an amount? Do we have to give them a long?
Give me a rough estimate of amount, we can amend it when it comes to the final budget, but this.
They're trying to put something in this capital improvement plan.
Yeah.
Gotcha, so if we're doing $350 a year, we're doing $250 for the fire truck, we can do $100,000.
Up to 100,
Up to 100,000 with the business.
up to 100,000 for business reimbursement.
Yep.
And is that matching or is it full reimbursement?
Well, it depends up to, when it's not to, it's gonna be,
No,
it could
I'd
be
say-
30%, it could be 70%. You know,
But your point is that they pay the first dollar and we pay the next dollar,
Right, is it?
or do we pay both dollars?
Right.
Yeah.
The positive thing is we don't have to necessarily decide that fully today. This is to come up with a rough idea of plans for the plan.
Yeah.
And then we can actually come up with the full
You can quantify it.
architecture.
Yeah, we,
Okay.
Architecture and
The next
Things-
meeting,
we pay for the whole thing.
We can work.
Okay.
quantify.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
that might be,
And maybe it's just on the first inspection, but not the re-inspection.
there's a
Oh,
double
yeah,
edged
because if
sword,
they
sword.
violated,
For
right,
sure.
Don't have a.
we don't want to
inspection
support
and
violation.
Save your money.
There's a double edged sword with that, especially with the reimbursement. It would have a cost allocation impact.
You just ask the accountants to figure that out.
Anyway,
Somebody's gotta
That's
do the
right.
billing. It's not gonna be the fire department.
and
What project are you working on or working towards right now?
We said that we're going to put in the budget, right? We're going to put in the budget, correct?
Yeah, no, I'm assuming that you've had some plans for your next, you said that we went through what you did last year. Or
We haven't hit budgeting yet, so we haven't really talked about it other than, you know, last meeting and this meeting.
Yeah, there's no plan.
I mean, I
Okay,
think
well, is there any
road-
project?
Roadways are always part of it, right? I mean,
that-
making sure that the businesses can get to their businesses. I think is always something we've spent money on and.
Well, that's another thing, what was the road within the DDA that was is it April Drive? No, April, what was the first one that was done years ago? Because
April,
April.
Jackson Plaza in April.
when are they due?
I think we've already redone
they're
April.
probably in good shape, probably at least another 7-8 years.
But once you put money aside for, well, that's 7 or 8 years, is there any within the
So,
next couple of years that's
What
due?
if we simply didn't allocate to which roads they go, but that they are
Just a road?
a road improvement.
But I would challenge that.
Expenditure,
I don't want the Washtenaw County Road Commission to think that we're just,
totally.
because
Yeah.
that seems to be what the case
That
is.
is what they do. They come in with their, they consider us a piggy bank.
And-
Yeah,
and-
and I'm tired of that.
Well, yeah, okay, but the primary roads, we pay into a county millage, and that's what they are supposed to spend that money on.
I
We
don't-
have to pay for all the other,
But then they come and ask us for money for Jackson.
Say they don't have money.
Well,
Right.
right.
Well, typically what we give them back is something from a millage. You know, that was intended for.
But it sounds like we need something for roads to be defined how we partner.
Yes.
okay,
I also put in, I think extending the DDA. We need to explore that because it's 2025 already.
That's a
or say,
great,
say that again.
that's a great,
Extending the DDA.
I agree with that.
the planning for extending.
So
Yeah,
that-
so the
That's to be
investment,
both years.
okay, so in a cost to, because we want to outsource or hire a consultant to help with that.
Thanks, it's great.
At this point, extension of DDA should be priority number one.
Agree.
Extending the
Otherwise-
DDA.
Yeah, otherwise you don't have anything. You're speaking on the air,
If the
hypothetically.
township can extend the DDA, then the trustees should extend the DDA. Just the last time we did it, I thought it was more involved in that, but maybe we're adjusting the district. I mean, I was brand new on DDA when they extended the DDA before.
So,
But
And
wasn't there something with the sewer, because you have two bonds? One,
well, I don't think any of the bonding extends beyond the DDA because.
No, none of the bonding does. One of the bonds will be paid off next year. Another of the bonds will be paid off, in 2 years.
but isn't that why you extended the DDA?
Originally,
time.
that was my understanding.
because we wanted to do phase 3 of the boulevard.
Yes.
Yeah. It was 2000, it was in,
Okay,
But the point is the DDA will expire, the bonds will already be retired. There will be no remaining liability on the bonds.
But
Correct.
that's an additional reason to extend the DDA, is that if you want a bondable project, you must have a DDA lifespan long enough to run the bond within the
Correct.
lifespan.
so if you're thinking about maybe doing a phase, you mean ultimately, like, maybe a phase
Your life.
west of Baker Road.
is that what you,
The
So-
discuss
it's
is extension of Jackson Road, it could be the bridge, it could be, there's a lot of different.
There's no sewer out
Okay.
there is the thing.
so,
Sewer out the park.
No,
There is
water,
sewer.
water out the park.
no, there's sewer.
the
Because
way?
Not all the way.
it's short, but that new, development is going to have sewer. They're gonna connect into sewer. The 220,
Don't they have their own package units?
No.
Process?
You know,
That's Thornton Farms you're thinking of does, yes.
yeah,
And
but that's
there's
not
a brand
ours,
new-
and we don't wanna do that.
There's a.
Okay, so extending DDA would be
what project?
Boulevard
Okay,
extension,
extending DDA.
possibly.
No, I think it's
Yeah.
DDA, enabling legislation extension.
Yeah, whatever our. The
What
act
value
having
do
a
we want?
DDA.
What value do we want to assign to that for 2025, 26,
Right.
26,
What,
27?
what?
To the extending of the
Extending.
DDA.
Consultant or the
I'd say,
company
Filing.
we need to hire.
$25,000?
I'd say like 1,000 a year.
Say 100? That's what I had in my mind, it's
Okay, so
102.
now we're at 200 or
Because, yeah,
250 for the
once you're dealing with.
fire truck,
bureaucracy, it's
100 for the
expensive.
fire inspections, and 100 for the consultant / extension of the.
Oh, okay, so let's put down just for now, 100,000 for 25, 26.
Did you say 100,000 for the consultants a year?
Yeah.
It's just-
Or
It's-
whatever else
it's
falls
not
under that,
really-
right? Not
This
just
is a capital
We-
improvement guess.
We need a RFP and all sorts of things.
Because we may have to, we'll have to talk to bonding people.
Yes.
Okay, so we're at
Okay.
$450,000 a year for 2 years in our capital improvement plan.
Okay.
Jillian's looking for something to take back tomorrow.
Do we want to assign any funding for the invest studies for
Yes.
pedestrian bridge and sewer?
Yes.
I don't know. 200?
You know, last time we did the bridge study, it was $80,000 and we got nothing.
Oh,
We
wow.
did it with OHM.
Found
Because
out that they couldn't do it.
they
because
found out at the last minute, they charged us a $20,000 extra and said we're gonna have to have a diverging diamond, which was 25 million, and he said the bridge was broken, the bridge was, you know, the
Oh,
section's
oh,
broken, it's
So
broken,
they
it's
didn't create
broken.
a solution, they just.
And a diverging diamond is one of those things that,
Yeah,
we don't. there's-
yeah.
Let me bring up one more thing and then I kind of like to cap this off unless people have other stuff. So what I just went into is I went into our tax software that we have here for the township on all the taxes we assess. I pulled a report for the entire year. The township collects approximately $1.1 million from parks. I think
The township.
From the
does, or
parks or
for parks.
It's a part of the
village.
village.
Correct.
I thought they had their own knowledge.
They do. This is their own dedicated village.
Okay.
They collect one
We,
million.
the DDA captures a portion of that. I don't easily have
Okay.
that. Offhand, I don't have what that amount is.
Gotcha.
But I know there was interest expressed, and I wanted to see if people were, open to fulfilling that request or
The 93.
the $93,000 specific request.
That's what, how much do we collect? How much do we capture?
We don't know exactly.
My guesstimate would probably be based off of similar capture without being able to pull the full report, probably somewhere in the $250,000 to $300,000.
We collect 30% on their millage,
That's,
50%.
it's similar to, well, we collect half of the
I don't know, it's like
capture.
a third or something.
Yeah,
So that's 30%.
that's about 30%. That would be my rough estimate
So you're
based on
still-
somewhere.
To support the 93,000 going parks.
Yes,
So, how many years did it run?
that village, runs like.
2029.
Yes.
But again, we can't dedicate funds beyond the DDA's life.
We could dedicate it for next year.
So we can give,
Next year, we can't, yes.
why don't we just sign up for 50,000 a year for the next 3 years?
Okay,
Does that make sense?
that seems fair.
I think, okay, so now we're at $500,000.
Which is fair to give people a reminder about how much the DDA does capture every year. We do have bond payments. Which are approximately $350,000 a year for the next 3 years, if I'm remembering correctly. That I have
Oh.
here in front of me.
Well, would that, should we put that down in the capital improvement plan? I mean, because you're.
No, it's not really a capital.
No.
improvement.
Yeah.
We're just saying-
Cash flow
Other
item.
uses of
So,
funds.
question
But
for
if-
you.
Yeah,
If we were not around and the parks are still collecting $1 million in tax, do they just get $1 million in taxes?
Yes.
but there's
It
like,
doesn't revert.
Once we
Yeah.
quantify that, I think we can, in agreement to roll that back or into into pathways or whatever they want. But,
Yeah.
I mean, we,
What do we want to allocate though for the studies? Or initial investigation? I mean, I have no idea. It's probably gonna be at least
well,
200 grand.
it's not a capital improvement.
Right.
that would be
You would
more than our
capitalize,
budget.
but you would
Something
capitalize
we
those
budget.
expenses if you were,
We would budget for it.
you budget for it and it would be
Okay.
capitalized under the
I think
project.
we also want to show the board that
For which
here are
one?
things we're investigating.
Either one.
Okay,
So if you're doing the, you know,
what is
the
the
beginning
study for?
parts of a project, you're gonna capitalize those.
Yes, you can.
Right?
That's Jim Bridge.
So, I mean,
And then sewer.
I think if we put in
I think that's-
$200,000
Down,
to study, long-term projects.
Just-
Yeah,
and just
long-term projects.
Be vague, just call it long-term
Yeah.
projects.
Okay.
Right.
On long term, okay, and then
Because
whatever.
otherwise somebody's gonna say, let's do this right, you can't have the money.
I didn't.
Well, we could just put.
That happens.
200,000, you said, now we're up to 700.
Yeah, 200,000.
So what about
Okay.
roads? We talked about roads. Did we have
Oh,
anything
wait,
there for roads?
I'm sorry, go
Sorry.
back to, the project studies, how much did you say?
200?
$200,000 a year or $200,000 flat?
200,000 flat for 2 years.
For what?
Okay,
For the
then we're at
study.
$600,000 per year.
No.
Is it so is
For
it
studies?
200,000?
For the studies, for the long
That's
term.
what I was, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
that's what I would think.
I was thinking 200 a year.
I think that's fine. So
Okay.
if you think about this, I think that those studies go hand in glove with the extension of the DDA.
Yeah,
Because the DDA, frankly, just to be here to be a piggy bank is not
Yeah.
interesting.
and that's.
But to be here with 15 years of life left on the DDA and the ability to bond,
Yes.
to do a sewer project and a pedestrian bridge,
It's very exciting.
that's exciting.
It's very
That's fun. To be here to just like, you know, put in expansion joints, somebody else will do that, right?
That, so we
Okay,
would be at
so a
one point
capital
five.
improvement plan, are we offering a capital
before
improvement
debt
plan for
service,
3 years
after
or for 2 years?
Before debt service.
Well, we
And
could,
debt service is 350.
What is
It would
it?
still be a
in,
million
in
dollars.
twenty
And
twenty-eight,
that's assuming we actually have to
What-
spend.
what-
you know,
all
when,
this.
when the, when
Okay.
the month,
What's the
the
month?
date that it ends, is it the beginning of 28?
No.
I thought it was 2029, 2020.
2029.
I hear that we won't have a DDA in 2029, so unless it's clear.
So,
But do you agree that the idea of these studies are really to inform some of the reasons for the DDA extension?
yes,
Yeah,
It's like, we've studied these things, this is what we want to do, this is how much it's gonna cost, our bonding capacity is X, let's get it done.
so would the
Yeah.
studies fall under the consultant for extending the DDA, or is this a
No,
separate?
separate.
that would be a separate item.
Okay,
These are engineering studies.
Yes.
okay, just to be clear, road improvements,
I think there should be something in there for the. Some
we don't have a
service.
millage at this point, so we're just,
But I thought we talked about that.
well, we talked about it,
We
but we
didn't
didn't,
allocate it.
right.
Allocate
We didn't, I thought it was, but with partners to be
Yeah,
determined.
previously we said we would go up to X amount of dollars every year.
$120,000 a year.
That sounds about right. yeah.
And last year, I don't. know.
That was
I
for what,
discussed it.
120 last year? It's fine, let's do that.
Should we do that all the way to the,
End of
Wow.
our existence? Sure.
We expire in 2029.
Mhm.
I'm just going by Jay's understanding, so I do not know.
Yeah.
That leaves us 2025, 6, 27, 8.
Yeah, I'll put it under, I'll put 2028 as well, and if we don't have it 2028, we'll just take it off. Okay, I think this is a good
To me,
beginning.
that sounds like plenty, right? We still have,
And then the maintenance, all of that other stuff that would fall into the budget,
we could
right?
figure out that as more operating.
That's not happening.
This
Right.
can always be revisited and added onto. It's just that right now we have to get it into them. The board will be reviewing the general capital improvement plan, 6 months into the year. So just so we're on track, and if anything needs to change or fall off or add on, then that'll be at that time.
Okay, so do we need to recap? So we've got our $700,000, then that 120 for roads is $820,000 per year.
Trust your numbers. More than mine.
Well, we said 250,000 to the fire truck.
Yes,
And then we said $100,000 a year for a consultant / extending the DDA. And then we had,
Oh, wait. Did you include the fire?
$100,000,
Matching
$100,000 for business
I was
reimbursement.
going there next.
Oh,
fire
okay.
inspection fee.
And how many years for that one? Or just put it in because it's gonna be ongoing?
Sure, let's assume it's an ongoing.
Okay,
I just lost my train of thought. All
I'm
right.
sorry.
No, that's all right. And then $120,000 for road improvement per year.
Mhm.
$200,000 for engineering studies for the projects anticipated. I'm missing something.
200,000 per year, 100,000 per year.
I heard two numbers there.
I think it was
Jeff
two
said
per,
200.
I think it was 2 per year.
Okay,
Yeah, the pedestrian and sewer study, 200,000.
yes,
And then the consultant for extending the DDA was 100,000.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay,
Right,
so you asked for a brief description. You asked for the number of years we could give you, which was 3.
Mhm.
You asked for the target year and estimated cost. We've got that. That's as much as we can give them. Do we need to have a vote on this
yes.
capital improvement plan projection from the DDA, which Jillian will be submitting to someone tomorrow?
Yeah.
I think you ran to the
Should we wait till Jay comes back?
You ran to the restroom, but
Probably.
Yeah.
we can wait for just a moment.
And then after that, I've got to go on.
I gotta go up to.
And.
We've got
we'll
it.
quickly vote on the last thing and then we can all.
Oh, yeah,
vote
let's
on this,
move on.
vote on the,
Oh, yes, yes.
and then we can-
Gotta do that too. Okay.
Yeah.
We also
And
have
this
two,
one- This
we
one's
also have
too long.
two meeting.
Yes.
we can borrow the payment to build the rest of us.
Yeah, we can vote without Jay, we have 4, 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4.
So I make a motion that we pay Nature's Choice Outdoor Services the remaining due of $8,540.
Boulevard improvement.
For boulevard improvements.
All right, I support, so
Okay.
we will vote,
Roll call. Jay, we just did the nature's.
Nature's Choice.
Okay,
All right, Jeff,
Yes.
Jillian,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Jay, I'm not a J name, Ryan, yes,
yes,
Linda, yes.
excellent. Motion
Motion
passes.
passes.
And
Yeah.
the CIP,
All right,
did
and
we
then-
get that subsidizing the RAUs for new businesses or not?
No, thank you very much.
We could add that to our $2,000 consultants engineering studies.
I think we'll have to work with a consultant of some sort to come up with. We want to do. We can add that.
We talked about pedestrian bridge and other projects that would improve the township. That could be a third project that would improve the township under that 200,000.
We can always add later on too.
And
This is an initial plan.
right,
with all that being said, we summarize this as follows: $250,000 per year for 2 years for the fire truck, up to $100,000 for business reimbursement, fire inspection fee, $100,000 per year for the TDA extension consultant for 2 years, $50,000 to parks for 3 years, $200,000 to engineering studies for long-term projects, and $120,000 for road per year.
$200,000 for 2 years or for 3 years?
I can mark
For the
it 3
study,
years.
for the study, that was the 2.
I thought it was 2, but I thought we only had 2 years to play with, except for the one that she said there was 3.
Thinking, but
Well,
It might be 3, but you know, we should play it safe for 2 years, because we don't know.
We can do it for 2 years, we're gonna revisit this next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
That's
say
great,
the
then we
one
can
that
make
you
a
had
change.
on there for 3 years should just be truncated.
I just truncated that to 2, so with that being said, I make a motion that we approve the capital improvement plan and direct the supervisor to submit to the board of trustees the aforementioned plan. Gus mentioned it, wanna do a voice vote or you wanna do roll call?
roll call it is.
Jeff,
Favor.
Jillian,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Jay,
yes.
Brian, yes, Gus?
Yes.
Yes, okay,
Linda, yes, and
Please
give
note-
us the total amount that it is on the
Right.
capital improvement plan projection for 2 years.
You're gonna email that out, right?
Please note that we're not spending money.
Just for the record, so that it's.
When you go to the voice vote, I think, I was making you think we're spending.
and the total with all of that
It's regarding
is
money, but it's the plan, the money.
$820,000 a year. in commitments.
We're committing to a plan, not.
Committing to a plan, not committing to expenditure. We still
Did
have
you
to do
say
about
$820?
Yes.
$820,000 a year. I will summarize your notes
Okay,
and send that out to everybody. Motion to adjourn.
yeah.
All those in favor, aye. Thank you. We are adjourned 1:48.
Attending today.
Thank you.
Yes.
You are welcome. Bye.
Happy holidays.
Can you
Oh,
submit your estimates?
Me, so
I'm
that
gonna send them to you and I'm gonna send them to you.
Well, this next meeting, I can forward them to Christie and.
Oh, no.
But this is a special meeting, so it doesn't actually have to go to Christie.
Oh, you know what, Rob Pattinson, I'm sorry, Rob. Rob, go ahead.
I know you're adjourned, but for your minute taking, there is no audio on Murphy's presentation. Julia was having trouble with the audio, so there's about 20 minutes of the meeting there with no audio. So you will have to depend on your notes. For the capital improvement plan, I would remind the DDA that there's the Township Hall Park that was a combined project with the Parks Committee. And Scio Church Road has a pedestrian crossing bridge bolted onto the side of the bridge over I-94. And when OHM did their $80,000 study, they came back from MDOT saying that with a roadbed of only 6 inches thick, with no structure underneath it, there was no safe way to put a barrier between pedestrians and traffic. But with the bolt-on bridge, you could maybe bolt the pedestrian crossing onto the side of the bridge rather than having, like it is at Scio Church Road, rather than having a freestanding, standalone pedestrian bridge. That might be something to look into. I hope that helped.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Well, thank you, Rob. Apologies for,
Sound.
So.
yeah, isn't this sound funny?
Well, that was funny, but I don't
He
know.
sounded
Yeah.
froggy, but that could also be that he sounds froggy.
Yeah, but we've been having issues, and I brought it up and they said, no, it's just you. Okay, well, thank you, Rob. Okay, we're
I have
going
to
to,
go.
yeah.
I do too. I wanted to ask Jillian, so we all.